The role of the producer these days is totally different back in the day, because you used to actually just have to produce.
Yeah.
But now it's like you have to promote this film, and has it been an interest? Is that interesting for you to kind of like have to take on this other role as a seller of sorts? You know?
It's very interesting. I mean, and it's very cool because I'm involved in every step of the process along with the director, and I feel like it's our child going off to college. I don't want to let it go, but at the same time, I want it to go the right way. So I'm thrilled to have this chance to like go out into the world and see it off, so to speak. It just feels like part of it. It feels organic to me.
We've been talking among the journalists about how it's actually a really ballsy move to have an animated film rooted in a heartbreaking tragedy of sorts, and to kind of use that as a underlying theme throughout the film. And so at any point was there a conversation like, this might be a little bit dark, or like
yeah, it's funny. We talked about it like we've talked about everything on the film. We always thought it's such a whimsical film. We knew we had the humor and some fun action, and we were going to do our best to make it entertaining. We needed a foundation, a bedrock of emotion to make those things matter. We look back at all the films we loved. I mean, It's a Wonderful Life, I mean, there's some heavy themes in that, or Bambi. That as a kid you see it one way and as an adult you see it another. And we thought we really needed to strike a balance to make Up resonate. And so we didn't think of it as dark or risky as much as we thought we needed it. We needed something to give the audience to take home with them, so to speak.
And then having that as a foundation, then how do you kind of create this colorful, world around it? Is there a limit, or can you go as far as you want with the storyline?
You find your limits. I mean, John Lasseter always says, go too far so that you can understand what doesn't work in that world and what does. And we certainly did that. I mean, we explored things that didn't work. But at the same time, you wanna find those things. And if you go too far, if you break the plane of kind of what the audience will expect, then the world comes down in weight, the value goes down. So you want to preserve that. It's sort of like the Superman complex. You have to keep the stakes normal. If Superman never gets hurt or never dies or anything, then there's no stakes. You don't worry about anything. And so we tried to always keep that balance. Even though the movie's fantastic and dogs fly planes and speak and so forth, we still wanted to make it believable. It was cool because I watched it with my wife for the first time the other night, and here's this fantastic movie with all these crazy things happening. But when the drama and the chase, she like grabbed my hand. I'm like, wow, it's like. And she knows it, it works. So that felt very rewarding.
There's so many wonderful characters here. Do you have a personal favorite? Because obviously you've seen the thing over 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
So does it still surprise you at any point, or can you actually sit back and now watch it as an audience member?
I can still do. I don't know how, because you're right. I've seen it so many times, but I don't know. I love all the characters. Certain times I feel like Doug is my favorite because he's such a breath of fresh air in the movie. I love Carl and Russell. It's funny, I was thinking about the other night, and Ellie was my favorite because she's the catalyst of the whole movie. Even though she doesn't have a ton of screen time, she's sort of the reason the movie's there. So she kind of becomes my favorite,
Russell, I don't know why. I like him a little bit.
Yeah, I love Russell too.
If you can talk about how did you decide on basing it after an animator in your office? I mean, this is the person that you work with. And
yeah,
let's be perfect.
Russell's sort of inspired by obviously Pete Sohn, who is our great animator and director of Partly Cloudy, and we just wanted him to be a specific kid. We didn't want it to be generic, and we just love Pete Sohn, and we imagined him as a kid, and he'd be full of energy and life and be the opposite of Carl. And we thought that would be a cool kind of catalyst and driving force for him.
What's also amazing is that, when I was looking at the boards, you have images that are like classic images of, Spencer Tracy and all that kind of stuff. So do you source a lot of do you watch a lot of classic films?
Oh, constantly, yeah. We looked at everything. I mean, we looked at Spencer Tracy, Walter Matthau. We looked at we looked at the Senior Olympics even. I mean, anything we could get our hands on to try to find that. We went and had lunch with my grandpa, a bunch of times, just to watch and observe how he might sit or tell stories, and we tried to infuse that into our animation to bring it a level of, I guess, believability.
Have your peers turn around and be like, hey, this is
yeah, a lot. I mean, what's cool is everyone looks at Carl sort of like an ink blot. Everyone says, that looks just like my grandpa,
Last final question. I know you're going to Cannes with this film. How did that whole process even happen, and when did you find out, and what are you prepared for?
Oh my gosh, we don't even know what to be prepared for. We're thrilled. We were at scoring stage in Warner Brothers working on the score with Michael Giacchino when we got the call that we were not only accepted, but that we were leading off, and we thought it was a joke. We were just so honored and floored, and it just feels like the world sees us as a film and not just an animated film, and we're just thrilled by that.